The spiritual principle that I'm going to work with today is that how we are seen by others is by what we repeatedly do. What we repeatedly do is how we're seen by our family, our friends, our colleagues, our coworkers, all manner of people. You know, I rephrased a quote that's from the great philosopher Will Durant, who said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is an act, he said, not a habit. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. Now, I very much like what he said, but spiritually speaking, we are much more than what we repeatedly do. We are walking around all the time, and I mean all the time, in the land of pure potentiality. We can change what we are doing at any given time. You have a drinking problem, you can change that. You have a compulsive eating problem, you can change that. You have a wandering eye problem, you can change that. You have trouble keeping a job, you can change that. There is nothing you can't change about your behavior right now and develop a habit of excellence in your life. How do I know that? Because I have done most of the things that I just listed, and I've changed them. But I didn't change them alone, like the song said. I needed the help of God. I needed the help of God by which all things are possible. And by God, I mean the energy of love. I know there are some folks in the room who wish I would stop using the term God. I can't do that. I've tried. I've tried to train myself to, use spirit, use love, use huge joy, use anything else but God. No, I can't do that. I'm sorry. So, you know, I'm only here a couple more years, so you just have to get used to it. And then maybe somebody else will use spirit or something. I don't know. But I'm talking about God of love and all of the angels of God on this side of the plane who have helped me, and all of the guides who've gone before me, who are on the other side of the veil, who are helping me right now to work through my blessings. One of those angels is a recent angel, and her name is Cindy Wigglesworth. And she wrote the book SQ21, The 21 Skills of Spiritual Intelligence. Now, I've been doing a little series all through the summer on these skills. She's helped me in this book to begin to understand that I do live in the land of pure potentiality all the time. But I have to become more aware of moving my ego self over and letting my higher self take charge. Just practicing these skills has helped make me more aware that God is with me 24/7. Now, God is with me 24/7 whether I'm aware of it or not. But reading this book has helped me become aware of it, helped me become steeped in it, and know that God is always ready to help me. So today we're going to move on these series. I've been doing it, if you've been coming now for a while, I've been doing this series throughout the beginning of summer. And the first 19, first 18 are on YouTube. So you can go back and get those if you want to review them. But here's what I really recommend. Buy the book, SQ21, The Spiritual Skills of Spiritual Intelligence, because spiritual intelligence is this: the ability to behave with wisdom and compassion while maintaining inner and outer strength and peace, no matter what the world throws at you. So we're going to move right into 19 today, and that is this: making compassionate and wise decisions. Now, this skill builds on the previous skills, so don't try and just jump into this skill right away, because you have to have an understanding of how you think about yourself and how you think about the world in order for them to make sense. We may be making wise decisions based on what our families thought for generations, but those aren't real values for us to have anymore. We've changed, and so we don't want to be making decisions based on what our families thought. My parents' value of an Italian Catholic girl does not need to go to college because a man will support her. Oops. That didn't exactly work here. And I can now look back on their decision to send only my brother to college with some compassion and with some wisdom, given what I now understand about their values and their worldview. Does it make me a better person? I don't know, but it does make me a happier person to look back on that with compassion and wisdom, because I'm not carrying around so much resentment in my inside of me all the time. The general goal of skill number 19 is to make God-centered decisions, to make love-centered decisions. And remember, Wigglesworth says, and this has been important to me, not making a decision is making a decision. She says that the ability to make decisions from your higher self comes from three things. First thing, listen to your ego, but don't be ruled by it. It can provide important historical information for you and help you with your decisions. Most of you know that I once bought a restaurant because I thought Georgia O'Keefe was such a clever name. Never mind I couldn't cook or didn't know how to run a business. I allowed my ego to take full charge, and I wound up with a $48,000 debt. Number two helpful hint in making sure that we understand this skill is ask to see things with love's eyes, or Jesus' eyes, or Buddha's eyes, or Lao Tzu's eyes, or Muhammad's eyes, or Gandhi's eyes, or Mother Teresa's eyes. If I were looking at a situation through their eyes, what is it that I would see? Helpful hint number 3 in this number 19 is act from wisdom and compassion. Act from wisdom and compassion. Because it's not enough to see it. It's not enough even to understand it. We have to be doing it. We have to let our actions be informed by this understanding of what we're doing here in 19. Wigglesworth says that with this skill, as with all others, there are levels of accomplishment. There are levels of accomplishment that we can grade ourselves and know how we're improving. And you know, I kind of like that. I kind of like the idea of taking a spiritual concept and working with it and then recognizing to myself how I'm improving with it. And she gives some guideposts as to how to recognize this. The most basic is this. I am able to make decisions that are compassionate toward myself. I'm able to make decisions that are compassionate toward myself. I can stop berating myself for not yet being perfectly enlightened. This is so important. If we are to be compassionate with ourselves as we move on our spiritual journey, then we can be compassionate with others. If we cannot be compassionate with ourselves as we move on our spiritual journey, it's not possible for us to be compassionate with others. It's a trap that I see New Thought people falling in all the time. We beat ourselves up because we're not in perfect alignment with spiritual principle. Now look, there's nothing wrong with having a healthy self-critic to take a look at what we're doing, to keep us within our own moral compass. But we don't want to be hyperactive. We don't want to be unrealistic perfectionists and have that critic voice driving us all the time. Level 2, I am able to be compassionate toward children, toward my spouse, toward relatives and friends who are not working on their own growth in the manner and the speed that I think they should be. I can let these folks grow in their own way and in their own timeline, knowing that I don't really know what's best for other people anyway. This is tricky for people who are beginning on a journey of newness, of spiritual exploration, or beginning a journey of self-identifying in a new way. We can be the hardest. You know, people who quit smoking can be the most troubling for those people who haven't yet given it up. The people who have given up flour and sugar can be the most troubling for those people who have not decided to give it up. I remember when I first came out of the closet as a lesbian, I thought everybody should know that, and everybody should appreciate that. I can remember going into a gas station one day to get some flour and sugar, And I had my dollar bill, and I said to the guy, "This is a lesbian dollar bill." He looked at me like, "What do you, give me the damn dollar bill. I don't care who you are. Get out of here." But I know that passion. I know that passion of newness. So whether it's through the foundation class of this church or the 12 steps or the Landmark Forum or many of the other churches or classes or approaches that are out there, they reveal the power of this principle. I get couples in my office all the time. And one of them will say, "You know, when she started recovery, I couldn't do anything right. I couldn't pray right. I can't apologize right. I can't eat right. I can't do anything right." And truthfully, usually they're not exaggerating. When we begin a new journey, sometimes we get ourselves out of control. And what Wigglesworth is saying is, just take a breath, back up. Let other people grow in their time and in their space. Number 3, I'm able to be compassionate to those who I feel are my enemy or those who act to harm me. I set healthy boundaries around behaviors, but I don't hate the person who is acting them out. There's only one thing that hate does, and that is clog your spiritual and physical arteries. Learning to set strong boundaries, without hate, is one of the most spiritually mature things that you and I can do, ever. So let's move on to level 4. My connection with my higher power is so strong that I always factor the pain and suffering of other people. Yet I'm not paralyzed by this awareness. I take balanced actions to honor all beings. See, this goes back to the practice of asking, is it right? Is it kind? And is it true? I caution us because sometimes when we're doing difficult things, we cause other people harm. We want to leave a relationship and that person doesn't think they're ready to be left. That's painful for that person. So we want to be aware of it, but we can't allow it to stop us, because if that relationship is not working for me, it's not working for the other person as well. They just don't know it quite yet. So let's move on to skill number 20, being a calming, healing presence. You know who does this best? Kindergarten teachers. They never yell at kids. If they want to get their attention and they're acting out all over the place, they simply start whispering. And then the kids begin to pay attention. The calmer we can be in our environment, at work or at home, the calmer those around us will be. A study was done on a Tibetan monk who studied compassion meditation, and he for a long time. And what they realized is they could bring people who were in a rage, people who were totally angry, out of control angry, and they could bring him in the presence of this monk. And that person would not maintain their rage for more than about 10 minutes because they couldn't. The energy of that monk, the energy of his compassion began to just move in to that being. What would happen if we tried that in our life? As we become more spiritually mature, we can too find ways to stay calm in the midst of storm. And the final skill, number 21, being aligned with the ebb and flow of life. That's really all we need to know, to be aligned with the ebb and flow of life. Life is a process, an unpredictable and ever-changing stream. If you try to steer a perfectly straight course against the current of the stream, you will likely find frustration as you run into rocks, as you get spun around in unexpected eddies, and struggle against the momentum of the water. Spiritually intelligent people learn this, and they learn to move with the water. Lao Tzu says a very powerful thing. First, he says, you know, the primary purpose I am teaching is to teach people simplicity, because we make life so difficult. He then goes on to say, if we would just grasp the idea that we are always emerging, flourishing, or dissolving, and we stayed in that energy, as long as that energy had a hold of us, we would know a happiness that we've never known before. Simple, simple, simple ideas in this lifetime. So let's take this message into prayer, knowing that there's only one power. It's the power of love that runs through me right now. And if I just let it be, just let it be, I give thanks for that. Just that simple knowing. And I release this word into the law, and together we say, and so it is.